for the entire map has changed. But you know, obviously you don't want choke points when you're designing a map, so we've taken as many of the choke points, you know, as you can actually out of the map. So the corridor's not straight. You've still got quite good line of sight. You know, playing with a mirror wall is actually really quite fun. Well, actually, on all the bomb sites is really fun. But I find that playing a mirror on this site is really nice, and because you can destroy the walls between the two bomb sites, it allows for really fast rotations. But it is the ground floor, so you've also got the problem of you're defending the windows because the attackers can get to you really quickly, or they can just come through the basement up the stairs. Yeah. You know, so it's one of those bomb sites that it's really fun to play, but you need to get your strats down really well to figure out what you're going to do, and communication is key.
Speaking of coming in through the basement, let's take a look at our basement map, or basement bomb sites, where we have brewery and fermentation room. Now, as a UK man yourself, I am very pleased to see that there's a brewery in the basement of Hereford. Well, it's only fitting.
It's the SAS. I'm sure the SAS drink a fair amount of beer. It's a great thematic. You know, when it's cold and rainy outside, you want to drink some beer, right?
Exactly.
Basement's really fun. There's a couple of big objects for the fermentation tanks that are bulletproof. So you've got a long line where you can actually shoot through and go back and forth, which is really nice.
And one of the key things is we're taking a look at the tunnel right now, which is a new addition. Why did you add this tunnel? What is so key about this?
If you put a basement in the ground and you've only got two sets of stairs, it's not fun because you know exactly where the attackers are going to come from. They're going to come from the stairs. So you can't do that because it won't be fun, and then we'll have the same problem again with the original Hereford, which is they're only going to play the one viable bomb site because it's easy to defend.
Right.
You add the tunnel on the outside, and then you add the garage, which is off on the side as well. It allows the attackers to actually have more ways to actually enter the building, and it makes for a much more interesting defense as well.
Much more interesting defense and a much more interesting map, because you have that access point and people can enter it, the attackers can enter it through the basement to attack the first floor, and they can use it as, of course, on that basement approach as well, but that becomes so crucial.
Of course, it's one of those things where, you know, when you watch the pros plays and you watch you know, ranked level players play, you watch them droning a lot of the time, and this map allows for droning from the basement, so you can go through and check for the roamers, and it allows from roaming from the top as well, so you can actually come down with your drone from the roof, and you're in relative safety on the roof, and you're relative safety outside when you're down by the basement as well. So it allows anyone that's playing a roaming game and a droning out game to actually allows them a lot of options for sure.
A lot of options, a lot of creativity, a lot of strategy that I'm sure we'll see once this hits the test server. But before we close out Hereford, how would you? What are some of the key takeaways that you want the community to know about?
The most important thing when you approach this map is remember it's a brand new map, but the two stairwells are definitely key. The drone vent on the roof and definitely the balcony on the side, because you know they're the three elements that are really going to allow players to actually get in and explore the map quickly and get to their objective fast.
Why did you feel it's so necessary to add that second stairwell?
It's mainly for navigation and flow. You know, when we design maps in Montreal, we look at navigation, flow, verticality, and viability of bomb sites. One set of stairs isn't enough for navigation and flow, and it doesn't allow for very good rotations. So obviously you need to add a second set of stairs. Now, when you've got two sets of stairs, you're essentially creating two choke points where you can get stopped quite quickly. So if you add the balcony as another option, you know, it allows people to run around and roam much easier. So it allows the verticality in the roaming game to be much stronger. Yeah, and of course, as we also wrap up with the balcony becomes that amazing external approach for the attackers, and a potential nightmare for the defenders as well. I wouldn't say nightmare. I'd say it's kind of fun, because when you get it right, it feels so good. So good. But when you're slightly off your game and you're not hitting your shots, yeah, it can lead to a world of pain very quickly. Yeah, that's for sure. The attackers can utilize that approach and get cut off or get a frag in the early game as they're picking off the defender in that area, guarding that area.
they can really utilize that and take that to their advantage.
It's really interesting, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the way the strats come out and the way people play the game. I've been watching people in the free play area playing the map, and it's really interesting to see what they're doing on the map, because it's beautiful.
I've heard incredible feedback from everybody that I've talked to here at Paris about the map, about the operators, and we'll get to the operators in just a moment. But that is your first look at Hereford Base. I'm so excited for players to discover that balcony, discover those stairs, discover the verticality, and fewer spawn peaks as well.
Oh, yeah.
Which I'm sure Amelia is very sad to hear.
Oh, there's definitely less spawn peaks for sure. Like, you know, we shut those down pretty early in production because, yeah, no one likes spawn peaks and no one likes to get killed at the spawn point. Oh,
Amelia loves spawn peaks. Let's be honest. He spawn peaks everyone. Well, that is your first look at Hereford Base, coming your way to the test server on Monday, August 20th. That's tomorrow. You'll get to play this tomorrow on the test server on PC. So without further ado, let's get into our operators. We have our 2 new operators, Maverick and Clash, and to introduce them, let's take a look at this quick video from Ubisoft News.
In Operation Grim Sky, things are heating up and getting electric as 2 new operators, 1 attacker and 1 defender, join Team Rainbow, where they'll put their training to the test on a completely reworked Hereford base. The gentleman quietly burning a hole through this reinforced wall is Maverick. A 1-armor, 3-speed operator, Maverick comes equipped with the Surrey Torch. Unlike Thermite and Hibana, who were able to make large holes in reinforced walls, Maverick is able to burn his way through barriers and create holes of various sizes. It'll take up nearly all of your torch's fuel to create a hole you can actually move through, but what Maverick excels at is cutting out small, sneaky windows, creating sight lines nearly anywhere. The Surrey Torch is able to melt just about anything, like breakable walls, reinforced walls, castle barricades, deployable shields, floor hatches, Maestro's evil eye, and even defending operators. This is one of the most dynamic gadgets around, capable of melting holes of many shapes and sizes in the defending team's reinforcements. Any attacker can take advantage of Maverick's handiwork, but with the new AR-1550 or the M4 assault rifle in hand, he does just fine on his own. Maverick's torch is handy for eliminating enemy gadgets as well. Play peekaboo with bandit batteries and mute jammers to clear the way for Thermite or Hibana, or just open a little door for Twitch's drone to roll through and take care of business. For bigger holes, you'll need a steady hand. Move across a wall too quickly and the torch won't have enough time to cut through. Too slowly and you'll waste your limited fuel supply. Aiming down sights will help you maintain a consistent speed while ensuring those crisp, clean cutouts. And while it's not completely silent, Maverick's torch is pretty quiet, opening up possibilities for stealth, subterfuge, and so many deadly new sightlines. Defenders will have to be extra vigilant against small breaches, but Maverick needs to stay sharp as well. The Surrey Torch isn't much of a weapon, and its 2-meter range leaves Maverick vulnerable while he's crafting his latest work of art. A quick call out from a defender could leave you vulnerable to a flanking attack, so be sure to deploy that claymore wisely. Or you could use it deviously, planting it by a small breach hole as a trap for careless enemies. With all these new holes appearing in your defenses, it's nice to have a defender who offers some extra protection. That defender is Clash, the first shield-bearing defender in Siege. Her indestructible CCE shield covers the entire front of her body and comes with a built-in taser that slows and damages enemies within range, making her a formidable obstacle. Her taser operates on a charge and will refill whenever it's not active. Mind your battery level though. If you drain the shield's charge completely, you'll have to wait until it fully recharges to use it again. To whip out her sidearm weapons, Clash has to put her shield on her back, where it will still offer some protection, just like other shields do. She can certainly get a kill in a pinch, but her main focus is crowd control. As a former riot officer with the British MPS, Clash is no stranger to close quarters action. Slowing down the attack makes the clock work in your favor, while drawing your enemy's attention has the added benefit of making them more susceptible to flanking attacks from your teammates. And let's not forget one of the most powerful things a shield can do: block enemy fire. Has that pesky Maverick cut a hole into a reinforced wall and exposed your entire team? Plug it up with Clash. Sometimes physically blocking an enemy's progress is your best play, but don't be afraid to use your protection to your advantage. With 3 armor and 1 speed, Clash might seem like the furthest thing from a roamer, but her shield allows her to be in spaces where defenders normally fear to tread. Stroll outside for some early game scouting, and use your map knowledge to roam in areas where attackers can't easily get behind you. Your P10C or SPSMG sidearms mean enemies can't safely turn their back on you. But even with your shield up, you're not invincible. Thatcher can temporarily disable the taser with his EMP grenades. And Capitão's asphyxiating bolts can do serious damage to the slow-moving Clash, even with her shield equipped. Furthermore, Clash cannot melee with her shield. In fact, if an enemy manages to melee her, or if she gets hit with a concussion grenade from Zofia, she'll drop her guard momentarily and be partially exposed. But Clash is not one to be vulnerable for long, and getting through her stalwart defense will prove to be a tall order. Operation Grim Sky is set to seriously shake things up on both sides of the conflict. For more on Rainbow Six Siege, subscribe to our YouTube channel and be sure to check out news.ubisoft.com.
And there it is. That's your first look at Clash and Maverick. And now I'd like to bring in Emilien Lomé, game designer on Rainbow Six. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Justin. Thank you very much.
You're going to be breaking down all the design reasons behind these 2 operators. But let's first break down who they are. Let's get to know Clash. Clash, who is she?
Well, Clash is someone who believes to fight for the good cause. She puts team play above all else. She's resolute, she's sharp-witted, and she's a bit arrogant, but extremely loyal.
Arrogant but loyal. I like her already. So how does her gameplay play out? Obviously, we saw a little bit in that footage, but how did you design her?
So the idea was indeed to bring a shielded defense, which might seem and sound terrifying, and that makes a lot of sense.
Very scary.
But ever since we released Siege, we had 2.5 years of experience to try to pick what we liked from the shield gameplay and adapt that to the notion of shield in defense. And that was a long process, but we think we found something interesting.
So you took like what you liked the most from Montaigne and what you liked the most from Blitz, sort of married them together in Clash a little bit, yeah.
Kind of that, and at the same time is like you have to both take what you like from shield and also think it's a defense shield. It doesn't have to push the side, she just has to stand there and prevent them from pushing. So we focused the shield mostly on the defensive aspect, that was super key, on the team play aspect, but remove a lot of elements of lethality.
Emilien, this is our first defense operator with a shield. Why are we introducing this now to the game?
Well, we definitely want to explore new areas of gameplay in every scene, like as much as we can, and expand on things that already exist, but also bring some new things, new fun things to play around. Clash in our situation was mostly we need someone who can bring a new way to play as a team, and definitely since she is very low lethality, she really needs her teammate to do the job with her. She needs to communicate a lot, and that's what we like about Clash.
So you would describe her more as like a team play operator than anything else, right?
Yes, definitely, above all else.
Above all else, why is she so good at creating in team play situations?
Well, we do believe that even though she's 3 armor and 1 speed, and she's carrying a shield, so she's fairly slow, but the way we see her play, at least in the early round, is to move around the bomb site, move around the map, and collect information, because she's so resilient that she can access places that others cannot. However, if she gets too far away from her teammate, since she's not capable really to defend herself that well, she will be very, very weak to the enemy team. So she needs at the same time to be very well aware of the position of the enemy and her teammate.
Right, so because she has low lethality, she needs a little bit of backup, a little bit of support before she pulls out her weapons. And I mean, looking at her, she really is strong at gathering that intel, as you mentioned. Would you sort of describe her as like a roaming anchor? Is that something you would say?
It's kind kind of accurate, yeah. I would say it's like this two-stage in the round where you would be like this roaming or support roamer, like the first part of the round, relaying information a lot, moving a lot, gathering information, and then maybe come back to side in the second half to try to use a shield, a taser shield that will slow down your enemies to prevent the push and prevent the enemy from planting the diffuser and accessing the objective.
Yeah, the taser is really one of the key elements of her gadget. It keeps players at bay, it keeps them at distance. Is that really important for Clash?
Yes, it's really key because, like I said, contrary to other shield, every shield we have, especially Blitz, but also even Montaigne or even Fuse, they want to close the gap to you. Their long range are not that effective, but they want to close the gap. They want to get to your face. However, Clash is the exact opposite. She's a shield in defense, so you need to think this the other way around. She will do everything in her power to prevent you from making to close range because she is extremely weak at close range. She will try to do the exact opposite, and new player that will discover Clash after playing other shields will need to get that in mind as well. When they see Clash, do not run away. Try to close the gap.
Try to rush her, try and close that gap in order to get that melee off so that you can have that semi-guard break. Now, you mentioned, circling back a little bit, you mentioned team play. That is one of the key aspects of Clash. How do you think she's going to fare in competitive play here?
I'm very curious about that. To be honest, it's always extremely difficult to plan what's going to happen in Pro League. Since she requires a lot of team play, I do expect to see her. It's a big sacrifice to bring Clash with you because you do not lose the gun entirely, but almost. And if you do that, you need to make the most out of her capability, and that implies a lot of team play. So I do see her being used there as roaming, supporting the roamers, preventing access to the side, playing the time a lot, which is the most important resource in the game.
Potentially that's where she's going to shine the most because you are going to have that communication, that coordination between players, and have structured strategies around Clash where she's not only defending and blocking a site push, but she can push outside the map a little bit and gather that intel to the team, and then also provide a little strategy of maybe having a defender behind her in order to see through the shield, because that shield is see-through. That's the first see-through shield we're introducing. Why do you think that's so key to Clash?
Well, the see-through aspect of the shield is really interesting. It gives the defender, it's not like a mirror in the sense that it's see-through both ways, but still it kind of is this movable mirror that you can move through the map with the Jaeger behind and get some kills. So this is the first aspect. Second aspect is a very big shield, and it's terrifying. The psychological effect of seeing Clash will refocus the attention of the attacking team on them. And this is where team play comes back here, because as soon as the attention is focused on you, now is the time for Ella and Jaeger and anyone free speed around to get the kills against the attacking team.
Right, get that kills from behind her as a, she seems like a really good, solid support character. Low lethality, but she still has guns, right? This is still Rainbow Six Siege. Let's take a look at her loadout. What is she packing?
So yeah, her primary weapon is the shield, and she cannot have a sidearm with that shield. It's a big shield, and you cannot have your sidearm with it. But
so in the same way that like Blitz and Montaigne have their primary as like as their shield.
Yes, but they have their sidearm with the shield. Right. She cannot.
She can't.
But if she plays the shield in her back, she can access her sidearms, which are both great weapons. We have a handgun and the first burst fire weapon of the game, 2 bullets. Both of them come equipped with embedded sights, and really good sight, by the way. They will never be as powerful as an SMG, but they can do the job if you're like the last survivor, or if the enemy team realizing that you're not the threat, look away. Yeah, now is your turn to shine.
In a pinch, when you really need to just get a kill, she can pull those out. Yeah. Now let's go on to her secondary gadgets as well, because she has a few very useful ones.
Yes, the secondary gadgets are definitely tailored to fit the 2 roles we mentioned. There's this first part of the round where you move around, and then you have the impact grenade that allows you to create holes in your defense to have your defenders run around, or even if you are supported by a roamer, make those rotation on a pinch. Yeah. Second gadgets, more the second part of the round. If you want to prevent the push, you have the barbed wire, which would increase your ability to prevent the enemy from pushing the bombs.
That's a really deadly combination there with the barbed wire plus the shock. Yes. That's going to be tough to counter. Speaking of the counters, though, she is counterable. She does have weaknesses. A lot of people came up to me when they first saw Clash. They were like, I think shields are OP. I think they are unbalanced. So how have you balanced Clash?
Well, she has, like, again, we had a learning in these 2.5 years of having Blitz running around and all, and now we think that we found some ways to have Clash being very interesting to play, but also not as frustrating to play against. And most of those counter comes from that. She cannot melee you at short range. That's not possible for her. So, but you can. You will trigger this semi-guard break that will move the shield to the side and allow you to shoot her legs. However, that means you need to get to close range. To do that, you can use Thatcher. Because Thatcher's EMP will disable the shield and allow you to bypass the taser part of the shield.
Yeah, and we also saw Zofia, and we also saw Capitao as counters. Who do you think is the most, the strongest counter against Clash?
Capitao is definitely the strongest. She's slow, she has a shield on top of that, and the Firebolt, if you place it right, you will kill Clash very fast. Capitao is definitely very strong against Clash, but Thatcher and Zofia can do a pretty good job.
Yeah, absolutely. So, that is a look at Clash coming your way to the test server very shortly, but let's also take a look at her BDUs that are coming with the launch of Grim Sky. Of course, these BDUs are available with the Year 3 Season Pass. This is a head-to-toe customization, and they look really cool. They're sort of Grim Sky themed and Grim Sky colored, so it's super cool. Her art design is wonderful as well.
I love her. She's very beautiful. She's
really
amazingly badass.
Yeah, so you'll be able to play her tomorrow. Another person that you'll be able to play is Maverick. Let's go into Maverick. Who is Maverick, Emilian?
Well, Maverick is an enigma within Siege. And within the Team Rainbow, he's solitary. He's very good at reading human mind, though. But it's difficult to know a lot about him. He's very famous for his precise work, though, and his high adaptability. But outside of that, stay as an enigma.
He's an enigma of a man, an enigma with his gadget, because that gadget is so cool. How does his gameplay designed from your side?
So yeah, the design there was we wanted to bring a third hand breacher to the meta. That was key. But we wanted to make sure that it was very different from Thermite and Ibana. And that was a big challenge. And we came up with this idea that allows Maverick to do a very different role than those two.
Yeah. So why, as a designer, as a game designer on Rainbow Six Siege, was it important for you guys to introduce a third hard breacher? Why is that important?
There is multiple aspects to this question. One of them, for competitive play, is we introduced pick and ban recently, and despite the fact that they can ban both hard breacher and it rarely happens, we still want to make sure that we have 3 options. That's the one thing. Second thing, even more important to us, is the metal breaching role is a very key role in Siege, and people that play that role have limited options, just 2. And we needed a third one to give them a new aspect of how to approach a bomb site. And third on bomb site, Maverick will be extremely relevant contrary to the other 2, or in combination with the other 2.
His gadget is so much different from them, where Hibana and Thermite have this really binary. It's either open or closed. Maverick has a lot of creativity. What are some of the strategies that you've seen in your play sessions?
Well, in practice, we introduced Maverick as a hard breacher. That was the key. But what we see in the gameplay, and it's very true, is he stands between hard breacher and disabler. You have Twitch, Thatcher, Thermite, Ibana, and he's somewhere between the 2. Because you can bring him as your main hard breacher and try to make small holes, or you can bring him with Thermite to destroy the bandit battery, the new jammers, and you can use him with this specific role.
Yeah. And obviously, he is an alternative to like a Hibana and Thermite, but he has a lot of those synergies.
Yes.
And I think we're going to see a lot of that gameplay as well, where people are using either Thermite to distract, or and the Maverick would then flank around and maybe create a couple of kill holes. Is that something that you are expecting players
Definitely.
to find?
That would be, if you don't use him necessarily as a man breacher, which should be rare, or as a disabler, you have this third option. He's 3 speed, he's fast, and his gadget is fairly silent. So you can just run around and make some tiny holes in the defense beyond them. And when they're watching Thermite blowing up the wall, they're watching the other way, and then you can get some pretty sneaky kills.
Yeah, again, for competitive play, how do you think he's going to play?
It's really, again, super tricky. And since he's so creative in his ability to make whatever he wants, I'm really curious to see what they're going to do. He doesn't have a lot of resources in his gadgets, so he's never going to replace Thermite or even Ibana, but it's a very new role in the breaching meta, and we're going to see a lot of interesting things with Maverick.
Yeah, a lot of interesting things, a lot of creativity, and let's take a look at his loadout as well. His loadout's pretty powerful. powerful, would you say?
Yeah, fairly potent. It's a classic for an attacker, I would say.
Yeah.
We have a semi-automatic DMR and we have an assault rifle. Those two very good weapons, and the sound design of those weapons are amazing. 3 armor, 3 speed, 1 armor, so very, very fast. And he has a handgun with that. But the most important and interesting thing about Maverick and his loadout, secondary gadgets.
Secondary gadgets. Tell us a little bit about his secondary gadgets. What are they?
So the secondary gadgets are very important for him. He has 2, Claymore and Smoke. This is 2 very different approach to Maverick. The Smoke is, since he's a very potent hard breacher, since he cannot really be countered by Mute and Bandit, he needs drawback. And the drawback is it takes time, a lot of time to make your holes. You're exposed, you're very close to the wall. The enemy team see the torch through the wall, so they can challenge you and try to kill you. So it's very tricky as a Maverick to trying to find a hole if the enemy team is aware. But you can use your smoke grenade. You make a tiny hole, toss a smoke grenade, hide most of it, and then you can finish the job.
Or you can have someone peeking that hole, or like a glass peeking through the smoke.
Yeah, a Blackbeard at the hole.
A lot of options. Oh man, a Blackbeard. Yes. I didn't even think of that. That would be really key. I mean, and also, I mean, he's great counter against Mira as well, as we saw in that trailer where you can have a Twitch drone roll in and